It's amazing.
Web show.
Happy pumpkin.
Web show.
Oh my God.
Web show.
Oh my God, Webby Pumpkin!
Web show.
Do you know him?
Web show.
He's cool.
Web show.
You should follow.
Web show.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Web Show. I'm Webby Pumpkin. This is Topaz.
Hey guys.
You see. And man, so much stuff I feel like happened to this week or just in general.
Yeah.
We are recording a little bit later than normal, so we're like cramming. You got stuff after this, so the cadence of today's episode may go a little bit quicker than normal, but that actually might be for the best because there's so many things happening, including something that we literally just found out today. This is Monday when we're recording, so you guys will hear about it a little bit later. But last week I talked a little bit about how Yuzu, which was the Switch emulator, was being sued, and they've actually reached a settlement, and we got some news on kind of what the future or lack thereof of Yuzu looks like right now. They are going to be shutting down, so we'll talk a little bit briefly about that. And then in other news, we just had a Pokemon Presents.
Yeah.
I am not the Pokemon guy. I know that you guys are surprised to hear that, but I'm not the Pokemon guy. You are the Pokemon guy, and so I've been really interested in hearing your thoughts, kind of about that. So I'm looking forward to jumping into there, and yeah, we really haven't talked about it very much outside of sitting here. So everything, finally, we're bad about this normally, but finally everything we talk about is going to be really fresh.
Some new information.
It's going to be really good. And then the only other thing I have on the docket is, if you can believe this, because obviously we don't have any hard evidence of anything, but the Switch 2, which we were, or whatever it's going to be, we were thinking,
coming out tomorrow.
Well, we were believing it was probably going to be 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at that last Nintendo Direct, it's slim picking, which I'm not mad about because that's kind of what you see in the last year of a console. But there are some rumors suggesting that the console may be pushed back to 2025. So we may not be, I don't know if that's announcement or release or both, but we might probably not seeing the next system this year. And that plays into a little bit of what my opinions on the Pokemon Presents were. So that's the episode for us today. I think it's going to be a good time. Are you excited about it?
I'm excited.
This is going to be good. Guys, like always, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is liking, commenting, subscribing, of course, hanging out with us and just watching all the way to the end. But if you'd like to do a little bit more, you can also rate us 5 stars on your respective audio podcast listening platform, whatever you prefer, whether that's Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is. Give us that 5-star, leave comments there. As you know, we have the comment section where we typically and will almost always read those. And so I'm looking forward to that today. And then also, if you'd like to go just the next step above and beyond, well, there are some monetary ways that you can support as well. If you're watching on YouTube, we have YouTube memberships. And for the middle tier and above, you actually get an extra bonus episode of the Web Show for every single episode that we release. Every single one. And they compile. They compile. So if you were to get in today, you wouldn't just get today's bonus episode. You'd get all of the bonus episodes for every episode this season as well.
Nice.
They're all there for you. They're uploaded immediately at the same time or sometimes slightly before this one goes live. So would love for you guys to be able to check that out. And if you want to get more, there's a higher tier as well that comes with some other benefits. Outside of that, we stream sometimes together, usually just me. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at twitch.tv/WebbyPumpkin. I'm finishing up my February challenge where I decided that I was going to try to get Unreal, or go as far as I could, Unreal rank on Fortnite, solo 0 build, all by myself. I've never played ranked before. It is probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in a video game since I've started playing. And I played only up and beat it.
Yeah.
This is hard. This is really hard. I'm currently, at the time of recording, a Diamond 3.
Woo.
So Unreal is possible, but I've got 1 week to go. I'd like to at least get Elite. I think I can get Elite, which is the next tier up. So if you guys want to hang out for that, you got 3 chances, and then I'm going to take a slight break from Fortnite and only play it on Fridays, probably for a little while. Fortnite Friday is going to be great. But that's the whole idea of the show. That's how you can support. Let's go ahead and get started. So why don't we start with the most obvious, most current news that's not even in the document, and that is Yuzu being sued. We talked about that last week. If you want to hear some more of my thoughts on emulation and everything like that, you can actually go watch last week's episode. So I'm not going to rehash all of that. But what I am going to do is just give a little bit of an update. So Yuzu did agree, probably because it would have been more expensive to fight Nintendo in court. But after the lawsuit was presented and everything, Yuzu and Nintendo came together and they agreed to settle outside of court. Yuzu is paying Nintendo $2.4 million for the settlement.
Well.
And then the kind of slightly unexpected thing that happened today, it's not that unexpected about Yuzu, but obviously Yuzu is ceasing operations as well. So as of right now, like the GitHubs where you would download those emulators and everything, they're gone. All those links are gone. I think the Discord is already, if it's not already gone, it's about to be gone because that's where the announcement was initially made. And so the Discord's gone. I'm pretty sure the Patreon is probably already gone. What I didn't realize is that Yuzu apparently is a supporter of Citra, which is another emulator. It is a 3DS emulator. And we'll get into a little bit of thoughts about this when we get to the comment section, because I got some comments on last week's episode that I think we'll address. But I think that's where it sucks. So I shared how I think it's a hairy line whenever you, or kind of a gray area, whenever you are creating an emulator for a current gen console, like something that literally people are able to go buy right now. Like every game for Switch is easily available either physically or on the eShop. And Nintendo Switches are still being sold. I understand how anything that's emulated on the Switch could potentially hurt Nintendo's bottom line. But Citra isn't like that. Citra is a 3DS emulator, and last year was the very end of the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS eShop. You can still buy 3DSs, used, and you can still buy games for the 3DS used or maybe new, but not from Nintendo. The eShops are gone, so what that means is if you were to go buy a 3DS today from Game Exchange or GameStop or wherever, or any of you guys, Nintendo's not going to see a bit of that money because it's secondhand market. It's the same as if I sold you a copy of my Switch game today because it's the used market. I now profit that.
Right.
That's why scalping is so big. And so there's morally, it feels a little more neutral because you're not stealing from the people who made this game, who made the whether it's a Nintendo party or whatever, whoever made this 3DS game, you're not actually stealing from them because, in my opinion, because they're not actually selling it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just completely cost prohibitive to go get like a copy of what I think, and you can actually agree on this, the definitive ways to play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I think the 3DS is the best way to play it.
Yeah, it is.
But if you want to go buy that game, it's like $100 for a used copy of Ocarina of Time, for the 3DS. If you even have a 3DS to play it on. So obviously, like, I think hacked 3DSs and everything, they're still going to be able to run like ROMs and things like that because it is the actual hardware. But that one, I feel like that hit hard because that's the use case for emulation that I talked about last week, where I'm like, that's why we have it, because you can't anymore. Like the 3DS isn't that far removed, but like the Virtual Boy. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
All right,
maybe I have.
Nintendo fan. Now the Virtual Boy was Nintendo's first like take at like a virtual console. It's that red one that you would like stick your face in, and it had the controller with 2 D-pads on it. So an emulator for that, it's called Red Viper, I think. It just came out this month for the 3DS because you needed 3D to use the Virtual Boy, and the 3DS happens to have like that. I forget what kind of 3D it is. It starts with a P, but basically it shifts perception so that you can get a 3D effect on it. And that is the best way to play Virtual Boy emulation right now. Well, you might be thinking, well, that's still bad because you could just play it on a Virtual Boy. But actually, Virtual Boys, there are a few of them, and they're old enough to this point that a really common issue is that one of the two lenses, usually the right eye, starts to dim or go out. And if you don't have both eyes, you don't have 3D. So I only brought that up because that's like a right now example of how emulation preserves video games. And that's all I'm gonna say on that because, like I said, I got a salty comment that I'm gonna be responding to later. But anyway, I'm gonna be quiet a second. I don't know how your relationship with emulation is. So does this matter to you? How do you feel?
No, I don't. I hadn't put much thought into emulations, and I don't have any knowledge or anything to really say about that kind of stuff because it's just goes over my head, I guess.
Do you like the idea of things that exist out there, even if they're not from Nintendo or any company? But Nintendo is like the real litigious one. They'll come for you. What are your thoughts on like having the options? Because I know you're not really a retro gamer, unless it's Zelda. I don't see you playing older games, and I get that. I don't want to play all older games. I like the knowing that the option exists. Though.
Yeah.
Like if I come, because it's very possible this has happened to me. I might discover a game that I didn't know existed, like because I didn't grow up with all these, and that's probably going to only be more and more common as games continue to age. You know, we are about the same age as video games.
Yeah.
Like they outdate us just a little bit, but that's why the majority of gamers are actually in their 30s because those are the people who've kind of been able to adapt and see all the different versions of controllers and grow up with games. But your kids, or even like little siblings for us, like baby siblings, they don't have that experience. Their first system wasn't an NES. Their first system was like a PS3 or an Xbox 360 when we had kind of already figured out, all right, this is probably the best layout for our controller.
Yeah.
And a lot of movement got improved around that 360 PS3 era where, you know, camera is almost always on the right stick. I think we can both agree looking back, that's the best way to do it. And so it's hard when you go back to play like a PS1 game or something and you have to move with the bumpers.
Right.
But back then we were figuring it out. So I say all that to say, because more and more people are not going to have grown up with games or had as much of time opportunity to play them, what happens when they're like me and they never had an N64? And this isn't my story, but it could have been my story. And then they hear that Ocarina of Time is one of the best or one of the best games that has ever been made. Well, you can't buy an N64 anymore. That copies of that game are real high.
Yeah.
At least in the case of that game, you know, there is a legitimate way to play it. Switch Online on the Switch right now. But say it's, I don't know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I like using that example a lot for the PS1 because it's a pretty good game and it's an abandoned work. So no one owns the rights to it right now. There's no one to even pay to get it. Like the company doesn't exist. That's a good game. And if I tell you that's my favorite game of all time and you're like, I want to play your favorite game. It's not, but you want to play my favorite game. You can't.
Right.
Unless there's something like an emulator that can do it. So that's my take on it. I'm not supporting piracy, but I like the option. I think this stuff is kind of important. We do it with everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gives you the nostalgia of stuff you used to play and bringing it back and wanting to introduce it to like my kids or something like that. I have enjoyed going back to games that I played and checking those out. So having that online, Nintendo Switch Online, helps out with that. But then just like I would have to go there to even know that they're there to really just play. It's just not my drive to just go and hunt for a emulated game or emulated game or.
I think that's most people.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit
But
of a
it's
power
really cool
user.
to knowing that it's available, like you said earlier. It's good to.
Well, that's interesting too, because when it comes to that, so I think you're in the not super casual, but if there is a spectrum from like power user to very casual, you're closer to the casual, and I'm closer to the power user.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think more people find themselves where you are. And like you said, they discover these things for the first time because of things like Switch Online. But, you know, Switch Online is just an emulator. It's an emulator on the Switch. It's just, you know, the way that it's being done is the way that Nintendo approves of. But data miners have found that some of the games that you can play on the Nintendo Switch were illegally pirated versions of the games that they just stole offline and regurgitated to you, which I find rather hypocritical, if I'm being completely honest. Nintendo is just something else. But I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too long, but because I already did, but we don't do that with any other media. Like, imagine, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh,
I know
God.
I know I just put that on you. Think like, okay, I'm gonna throw one here. This may not be your favorite, but I know you really like The Lion King.
That's my favorite Disney movie.
We'll go. All right, we'll narrow it down. I'm like that too. If the picture is that big, if you had to be like, "What's your favorite pie?" I'm like, I can tell you my favorite slice of a pie.
Yeah.
I need to cut it down too. Okay, favorite Disney movie is Lion King. Could you imagine? I bet you love being able to like rewatch that now, or you love being able to like share that with your kids. But imagine your favorite movie is The Lion King, and you got it on VHS. But if we treat it like we treat video games, well, now we live in a world where everything's digital or Blu-ray, but you can't watch The Lion King on Blu-ray because it was a VHS exclusive.
Yeah.
But you can't buy VCRs anymore. That's what this is. That's like Wind Waker. Well, you can't buy GameCubes anymore. So how do you? I don't get it. We don't do that with music.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's probably the easiest to find old music. It's like classical music's all public domain, but you can. Back then, it wasn't recorded. Obviously, everything that's been recorded of classical music is a little more modern era. But you can still go and find the sheet music the way we used to record music at the library. Just enjoy that. Or like we don't do that with books. We reprint and preserve books, and we just move them to like new things, audiobooks and digital books. So why on earth, if we do it with every other form of art, why don't we do that with video games? Like we're gatekeeping, or companies like Nintendo are gatekeeping these experiences, these pieces of history. So rant over, mic drop, except not this one. It was expensive. All right. I guess what makes the most sense in order to talk about next before we get into the Pokemon Presents has to be this Switch 2 potential thing being pushed back. And the only reason I want to talk about it first is because I think something that happened at the Presents possibly happened this way because Switch 2 got pushed back. But there's not a whole lot to say about it, so we'll just kind of, speed bump over
Let's
it.
just merge them.
Sure, okay, that works
It'll
good for me.
probably come up.
I was hopeful that we were going to see some Switch I probably need to stop calling it Switch. I was hoping we're going to see some new Nintendo something this year. I highly doubt they're going to call it Switch. It's possible, but they don't, because they've done that before with their handhelds. Game Boy became Game Boy Color, became Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So you get some regurgitation of the name. And then DS became 3DS. But
Wii U.
that's the first time I think that it happened in a home console. So in their handhelds, they did it a lot. But you're right, because we went, well, I don't know, because they like to put Super. So I could see something like Super Switch, because we had the NES, and then we had the SNES, the Super Nintendo, and the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo.
Super Switch. No.
Then we had the N64 or Nintendo 64. So they like to just use the name Nintendo there.
They didn't do anything with GameCube.
No, because it just
Suckers.
became the Wii, and then Wii U, and then Switch, and that's when they started really getting gimmicky. After that, though, like the GameCube was a cube, Wii was really just like a play off of having fun, like Wii, and it was motion controls. Wii U was different, and then Switch, because you can switch between handheld to console. But all that to say, they might call it Switch something. I don't know.
Cube Switch.
I really thought we'd see it this time, though, or sometime this year. I don't know what's happened that may be pushing that back, but I'm not surprised.
There's a theory.
A food theory. No, sorry.
A thought.
A thought.
I saw some videos about Pokemon.
Being like
there's going to be another Pokemon game that they didn't talk about.
in the present.
Yeah.
Are you saying that's probably specifically because it's going to be on? Let's just roll into Pokemon. You're right. We got to merge the two because I feel like obviously Pokemon is always on the Switch.
Yeah.
Or not Switch, always on Nintendo. It's a Nintendo exclusive basically. So you can't really talk about one without the other right here.
Right.
Pokemon Presents.
Pokemon.
I watched it. I didn't stream it. I didn't think it was going to be worth streaming, and I think I was right. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think we only got one announcement of substance, but I didn't like throw in the document like everything that was in it. I don't know if we need to talk about everything that was in it. What? You're the Pokemon guy. Why don't you tell me what you thought was worth talking about in the presents?
So, of course, the last thing they announced is worth it to me.
Of course.
But I know it's
And we're
worth
going
it
to
to
the
a lot of other people. The other stuff, I mean, maybe Pokemon Go stuff. I don't know, because I haven't really been playing Pokemon Go like I used to.
I think we have to cut it into like if I were to cut it up into like the main things, we had Go, Sleep, Cafe, Unite,
and Masters. And that new card.
Oh,
thing.
that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
The new Pokemon trading card
Yeah.
thing. Okay, yeah, we need to go through it. So I don't care about Pokemon Cafe stuff. Pokemon Go is old news, right? No, I mean, I know people like it, but that's not really all that
Unless
new.
they do something crazy. It's just the same old stuff.
It's just updates to a game
Yeah.
that we already are real.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth talking about because it's a game we're already real established in. And I feel kind of the same way about Pokemon Unite. I guess people are still playing it.
Now they did put like Gigantamax up in there. I hadn't played any of that to test it out, but I think that's probably a cool little feature.
I stopped playing Unite whenever I learned that it was pay to win. Like if you spend money, it's not like a Fortnite thing where it's all cosmetic. Like you actually do get like a pretty ridiculous buff if you buy your way up. And if you want more information on that, Beat 'em Up Woods or Beat 'em Ups, the channel, he did like a whole thing where he spent all the money he could. He like maxed out his character and compared it to like brand new and everything. And it's like dumb. And then he did the math on how long, because you can technically earn everything without buying it. But I think he said it was something ridiculous. Like it would take you 2.5 years to get to the point where he was by spending like $300 and something. Spent a lot of money. And that's pay to win, man. If you can spend money, if you have money, if you can spend money to get that kind of a buffer where you're as good as it would take someone 2 years, not like just like casual, like you had to play every day for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering the number right to catch up. And that just sets like an equity issue really bad for the game for me. So then I was like, I don't want to support pay to win. I don't like that. So anyway, go check out his channel. I might even, if I remember to, I'll link that in the description so you guys can check it out. It's a good video.
Going back to Pokemon Go, I am on level 45. This is why I'm still playing this game, because I need to get to level 50.
What's special
And
about
it's
50?
the hardest thing to do. It's just a level thing, just a grinding thing.
It
that
literally
I
is
have,
just an ego.
that I have.
Yeah.
I gotta
No, I get
it
it.
because there's a bunch of people
When it's
like on level
addictive, you wanna
50
be
and
50.
they can do all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, well, let me grind it. But it's the absolute hardest thing to do. The hardest way to level up is leveling up in Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go, because it's like a lot of requirements that are just ridiculous. But I'm still not playing it as much as I did play it. So I am on 45. So I am very okay, to kind of slow down being there. But
I think I might be like 11. So I don't play much, and it's been a long. I played pretty religiously the first like 3 months that it was out, and then I just got tired of going places. Like it was so much, and I didn't want to keep spending money on it because I never had all the Pokeballs I needed.
dude,
I just never had everything I needed. I didn't want a bigger backpack. Anyway, Pokemon Sleep never looked all that interesting to me. I think you tried it.
I played it. I haven't played it since it's just so much to keep up with.
Yep.
Like you gotta sleep, you gotta collect all these stuff, or you have to let your phone go while you're asleep, and it has to be good sleep. Your phone has to be like right there on your pillow.
Yeah.
And you just got to remember I said pillow. I am so country. You just got to remember to do all this stuff while also collecting stuff when you wake up.
Yeah.
Or collecting those Pokemon. And now I think they announced they added, was that Raikou and Entei and all of them?
Yeah, I think so.
Coming to sleep. So that's pretty cool. But I don't think it's enough for me to start back playing sleep.
I think you brought up the main thing or the main point for me is that my attention is pulled in so many directions that I don't have enough.
You don't even sleep.
I don't have enough. Well, and I don't have enough of it to give to all these Pokemon things. I shared this in the pumpkin. So if you're a giant pumpkin on as a member of the top tier membership, I actually do like a monthly luncheon. And I shared this in the last monthly luncheon, and I'll share it here as well. That I feel like used to how things were like when you would grow money or when companies would look for like wealth, we conquered land and that's what happened. You see like wars and everything, and you're always conquering land or spreading out west and all this stuff. And now the world is pretty much all conquered, and so now the battle is for conquering attention. And so it's how much of your time or how many hours of the day can I keep Topaz's eyeballs on my product or on the thing that I want you to think is important. And I personally have a hard time giving a lot of that time to Pokemon. That all being said, The one thing in the Direct that actually made me think, all right, I'm probably going to try that. And it's not even out yet, but it is Pokemon trading card game on your phone.
Yeah.
Because it just looked easy. If they can make it easy, especially if it pairs with like the other like TCG app where you can scan your cards that you get physically, like and those real cards go into your game. Because there's already like a collector's app. I don't use it, but there's like a little code now if you buy Pokemon cards where you like scan that barcode and it puts those
That
cards
makes
in
sense.
there.
Why wouldn't they do that? That's cool.
Because great question. Why wouldn't they have Pokemon Home support when a game comes out instead of waiting 4 years after the game comes out? I don't know. These things that make sense, Pokemon tends to not do. But hopefully they do.
Yeah.
But hopefully they do.
You get two packs a day. That'd be cool.
2 packs for free, and I think you can buy more.
Yeah.
We'll see how they turn me off or on. I don't know with their microtransactions, because they're going to be like, hey, give us the money for the Pokemons. That's going to be in there. But I don't know if it's casual enough where it's like one of those things where, I can pull out my phone while I'm waiting for like a Hot Pocket to heat up or something, and I can like trade a card with you, or I can do like a quick like 3
You'd be
or 4 person
surprised.
battle.
Oh, y'all be surprised. I've never
You're not
done
a card
anything
guy?
with the trading card. I have a lot of cards.
Really?
But I've never done anything. I never played the games. I've never traded. I've never done anything like that. I think I'm just a secret hoarder.
Secret
and
hoarder,
I just like
fake
to
fan.
collect. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're not.
I mean, because, Digimon got all my time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of slowly creeping into this Pokemon world still since college. But, and that's been a little over.
Let's say you're a little more than creeped in now. Like, you got both feet in the door. There might be some of your hair might still be stuck out there, but like you're pretty much into the ecosystem,
So
I think.
I'm still creeping.
All right.
But no. So, going into the cards, that's going to be a pretty cool little thing, like what they showed on that.
You know how I learned to play Pokemon trading card? Because as you know, I grew up alone.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
No. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid. I did like that. But no, I actually learned to play the Pokemon trading card game this year, or technically 2023, because Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Advance came to Switch Online, and I tried it, and the whole thing, it's kind of like a Pokemon game, like you move around, but instead of like Pokemon battles with like monsters and balls, you play the card game, and it taught me how to play the card game, and I was like, this is actually not that difficult. Like it's honestly, in my opinion, I think it's a simpler, at least like the 90s version of it, because 90s Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of simple too.
Yeah.
And now it's not. But at least the version I played on the Game Boy Advance, I was like, this is a pretty simple, easy to wrap your head around game. And I kind of liked it. It's just cards are so expensive. And even now that I have friends, like, we don't play cards together. That's what makes me like the phone version, though. Maybe we will. Maybe we will if I can just pull up my phone and like make a move.
Oh,
and
we
do a
are
little
so
thing.
spoiled.
I'm definitely going to try it. I'm interested in that one, especially if it's free. 2 packs a day, which makes me sound like a chronic smoker. But I want to try it. I'm going to try it. I'm a 2 pack a day guy. So
2 whole packs?
2 whole packs.
Man.
You just swipe, and some of them are trippy that you just go into the card as a whole new world.
A whole new world. That's going to be cool.
It's going to be cool. I'm excited about that. I don't know when it's actually coming out yet, though, but I'm interested.
Get
All
out
right.
your phone, Webby.
The main thing. The very last thing in the Direct.
ZA.
That's what you're calling it? I'm calling it Pokemon Za. I don't know if it's supposed to be Z and the A is a tower. I don't know if it's supposed to be like pizza, Pokemon Za.
Well, so Zygarde.
Zygarde. Pokemon Za. I don't know if that's actually right, but
I love it. So speculations or rumors.
All right.
Zygarde, the Z. Of course, who wouldn't think? Because I think it's said in Lumiose City.
Yep.
Lumiose.
Yep.
So Zygarde is there, but then that A could be, there's
like that tower
that
in the
tower.
middle, which some
There's
people are
a-
speculating.
that, and then there's a actual Pokemon that kind of has that form
That's
as well.
the other speculation.
So, yeah, it's a lot of speculations.
There's also the idea that it's something to do with like I don't remember this.
the
This
past,
and like to Alpha, like it's A to Z but backwards. Z
which
to A.
it's a Legends game. So
Yeah.
they would definitely have a lot of those kind of Legends features and
we think.
stuff like that. So, I mean, I would think because Legends was in the past, so this
Yeah.
is like the past of Lumineos or whatever, and I don't know how they're gonna
Well, we've
do
only
it.
seen
We didn't
one.
get much.
We've only seen one Legends game, and it did happen to be in the past. Personally, I don't think that's enough for me to believe that it's always going to be that way. Like, this could be the future. Who knows? This could be
Well, they
anything.
confirmed that it's
Did
like
they?
past.
Well, that's interesting, and I'm down for it. This would
Mm-hmm.
be like the history of like what caused mega
Which
evolutions
I don't
and
know
everything
if
to happen.
I don't know
then,
if the confirmed. I need to do some more research. I don't know if it's like you're in modern day Lumineo City and you go to the past, or I don't know how that's going to work, but I think it seems like the journey, the adventure, the whole game is going to be in that city.
Yep.
Which is going to be interesting because where would you get your Pokemon from?
Isn't there like a broadcast building or something like north of the city that you can't go into in X and Y? And there's some thought that maybe you can go into that because it's kind of part of the city, and then
Yeah.
there'd be like levels, like a tower, which we've seen in other Pokemon games. Like it wasn't Team Rocket, it was Galaxy, I think. Whatever the one is in the Sinnoh region, I think it's Team Galactic or something. They had the multiple tower things, and that's kind of how we see the Elite Four work. You make your way up.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a non-Pokemon person speculating.
Hey, but you
Right
got
here.
the history.
A little bit. I tried to do some research before this episode,
Yeah.
but I've never played X and Y, and so I actually was going to
I never
ask
played it
you.
either.
Well, then neither of us are qualified for this
Right.
conversation,
No.
but you're going to listen to it anyway.
It's just us, kind of putting
Guessing.
our thoughts out there and
Yeah.
guessing.
It makes me wonder, and I'm sure I know what I'm actually going to do, but should I play X and Y, or X or Y? I probably won't play both.
Where would you play them at?
Well, not on Citra, but no, I believe they were 3DS games. I think that, and but I might be confusing
Would you
them
need
with
to
Black
play
and White.
both or just one?
Well, they're the same game, just like
Right,
Sword and
right,
Shield
right,
are.
right,
So
right.
I wouldn't play both. I would pick whichever mascot. I would pick whichever legendary I want and go with that.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of wanted it because X and Y is Mega Evolutions, right? Mm-hmm. And Mega Evolutions are cool.
Yeah, and there's going to be apparently some new megas.
Yeah, I think. Well, all right. You want my theory on the new Megas?
Yeah.
I'm sure this isn't profound. You've probably thought this. 100 people in every county have probably thought this. But like Charizard, for example, he has a Mega Evolution, but he has an X form and a Y form. Well, why wouldn't there be Z forms? Like the stuff is already there. So
They don't need no.
what? You don't think they need Z?
No, I don't think they need to do anything with Charizard or with.
Oh, that's
with-
fine. I just used him
with
as my example.
Charmander because they've done so much with him. Give another starter a chance.
I'm fine.
You got to
with
pick
that.
through. I am too because they do it. I think they do a good job with different
Well,
forms of
yeah.
Charizard, but
I think that
you got a lot of
Charizard got love.
starters that don't get any love.
Yeah, Charizard
Um,
got a lot of love. And I think the complaint I hear the most about X and Y, like that generation, is that the Megas were a little OP. Like, especially on the competitive side, if you didn't have, like, this Pokemon with this evolution, then bump it. Like, you couldn't. And I think since then, like, with Black and White and with Sword and Shield, there have been more things, even with Scarlet and Violet, pretty much there's not really any exclusive type that I'm aware of outside of the DLC ones. Like they kind of have their own special thing. You could have a version of terrestrialization for multiple elements, no matter what Pokemon, as long as you had it or trained it or found it.
Yeah.
And so I think they've tried to like level the playing field, and I would expect they would do the same thing. So whatever starters that you get, I imagine all of them would have probably an X and a Y form, or maybe neither. Maybe all of them just have a Z form.
Dude, that'd be crazy.
That would be
like,
cool.
All of them to have a
And
two
that makes
forms.
sense. I feel like I don't know if they'll have two because I
Who
don't
do
know
you
if
think-
Pokemon will be that work in, but they'll
What-
all have a Z form.
What
if
would
they
be
do that.
your starters?
Remind me of what the actual starters were for X and Y. You don't know? Because I don't think
can't of
Charizard
right-
was even a
You know
starter.
how many
was he?
starters? You know how many generations we got?
7, right?
No.
I don't know. That was a guess. I guessed wrong. All right,
1,
I'm looking
2,
up
3,
X, Y
4.
starters. X and Y
1, 2, 3,
starters.
4, 5, 6.
Because I don't think Charizard or Charmander was even a starter. He wasn't. Okay, I'm going to show you the picture,
Let me see.
And you're going to tell me it's small, and you're going to tell me the name because I don't know.
So Froakie,
Froakie, the water type.
Chespin,
Chespin, the grass type.
and
Finna tell me what that Pokemon's name is. Finesse it.
not Finnegan. I don't remember.
Feeling
bro.
good.
It's the
like
little
I
fox
should.
girl. Little fox girl, Firefox.
Oh, so it didn't come in a male variant? Oh, no.
Well, the evolution looks more so like a
It looks
girl.
feminine. I bet instead of showing you the picture that I could have just
up them names.
pulled up the Quora and actually told you the name. Yeah. All right. Froakie, Chespin, and Finnegan.
Finnegan. I was
Finnegan.
close. I
All
wanted
right.
to say Finnegan, but it's Finnegan.
So, yeah, Charmander
So
wasn't
those
even
are-
one of the starters. He just had 2 forms. And he is my favorite starter, by the
Right.
way. Charmander all the way. You want to, all right, a little hot take here. You know how everybody loves Charizard? Mm-hmm. I prefer Charmander.
Yeah.
I like the starter. I like Charmander. Charmeleon, he can go kick rocks. I don't care.
I was gonna say I like Charmeleon.
Charmeleon's fine. But he's like, if you got 3 kids and you have to
Little
figure out
teenager.
which one you like best, which one
Charmeleon
you
has
like
to
least.
go. Golly,
No.
you don't want the middle kid.
Nope.
That's sad.
No. Middle kid syndrome, he has it hard.
They went with what did they go with how much time we have? What did they go with RCS Legends RCS?
They
went
didn't go with starter. They went with Cyndaquil.
Cyndaquil.
Yep.
Rowlet. No, yeah, Rowlet.
Yep.
And
I can only picture the duck from Scarlet and Violet, not the right one. Oh my gosh. I chose fire because I
Not
always choose
Piplup.
fire. Not
no,
Piplup.
It was
Piplup was the
it
regular
was,
Sinnoh. Not Sinnoh, Sinnoh.
Is it water we're looking for?
Yeah, we're looking for water.
It's
All right, so you had Oshawott, Rowlet, and Cyndaquil.
It's not a normal name.
But I'm okay with this too because they had just different forms,
Mm-hmm.
sort of like their final evolution looked a little bit different, and that it was, it added like Ghost to
Different types.
yeah, or subtypes even maybe.
Subtypes.
I don't know if that's the right term. I don't know. That's a lot about Pokemon ZA, but I'm excited about it.
Oh, and so it's releasing simultaneously, when it comes out or whatever, everywhere. So that's why I was kind of like, oh.
What do you mean when you say everywhere?
I
What do you
guess
mean?
like
Because it said at the end of it that it was going to be available. Well, it also says not final, but it's going to be available on all Switch systems.
exactly.
But that's what they said about Arceus too. I think you're in the group of people right now that are thinking that Switch 1 and Switch 2. But what that really, I think that just means Switch Lite, Switch Regular, and Switch OLED. All Switch systems.
I don't know. It could mean
Arceus said all Switch systems.
That's
and it
Well-
definitely ain't coming
well-
out on the next one.
I think
it's just
it. So it was speculated, or that other Pokemon game because they kind of always do it.
Mm-hmm.
So Legends was just like the different makers or whoever
Yeah.
got in to do it, and then you had Scarlet and Violet
yeah.
that came out right then. So they're thinking or rumors that there is another Pokemon game in development that's gonna be, kind of like they did that, and then Switch 2 is gonna release when Switch 2 release or whatever the new Nintendo is gonna.
I'm
release.
interested to see how it's going to actually go because the main reason I'm interested is because, fact check me on it, but I think since like 2012 or 2013, this is going to be our first year that we haven't gotten a Pokemon game. And that could mean a couple things. It means that all the Pokemon YouTubers are like, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about this year?
Yeah.
And then it also means that they might actually put some love into this game because I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was this little game called Scarlet and Violet that came out last year. And as far as I'm aware, it's the only game on the Nintendo Switch system that made Nintendo issue a public apology. Mm-hmm. It was that bad. It was that broken. And there's no reason that it should be. And so if they've got the game, say they have it figured out right now, and now they don't show us anything, they pull the Tears of the Kingdom to get all the game done, and then they take an extra year or two and making it run like butter,
Dude.
that'd be a good game. I'm a little torn. So, I've gone on record as basically saying I'm not buying the next Pokemon game. Mm-hmm. And
You don't have to buy it. I'll get it, and you try it out.
All right.
And then you buy it.
well, now I'm definitely
if
not.
you want it.
No, I'm
but you do have to come with me to release because I'm going
course.
to get it for release.
course.
Actually,
Well, I'm torn on this one because by far I think the best Pokemon game we
wait,
got of recent.
no. Let's go back. You said you like Arceus Legends.
I did. I
And
didn't
you
look
would-
good, but I do like it.
You would play, or I don't know if you said you'd get the next Legends game.
Well,
Before we even knew it was gonna be a next.
I might, but
Legends.
I don't. That's what's got me
game.
torn. That's what's got me torn is because I don't have a lot of faith in Pokemon Company,
Yeah,
but taking an extra year and being a
And
Legends
it's
game
the people. Yeah, that was
I'm just gonna have to see a little bit more. I still don't have any plans on getting
how much
the
of
regular one.
Arceus did you play? Arceus or Arceus did you play?
I didn't do like the post game, so I got
So you-
all the way through Dialga and Palkia, and I'm supposed to fight.
Oh, you didn't
Giratina,
get
but I didn't get him.
the god of Pokemon.
No, I don't have Arceus. So I just have the original from that era. I have Palkia and Dialga, but excuse me, and I need to go back, but there are so many things to play.
Yeah, it is, bro.
And it's kind of hard to do that. And I don't plan on going back to Violet. It disappointed me. And so I'm not going to do that. I don't know what I'm going to do with Legends, with the next Legends game. There's
it's
potential.
it's so far away.
Probably
I
so.
feel.
We didn't see anything. This is the first time, too. Like, I double-checked it. This is the first time that a Pokemon game has been announced that they didn't show anything. They always show something. Like gameplay or something.
Yeah.
And that leads me to think that this game is actually supposed to be developed for whatever the next hardware is. And so we can't see anything because if the rumor is
Wow.
true and that Nintendo pushed it back, then all they could do is say, hey, investors, we got something.
Yeah.
And that's all they can do because it would spoil so much because Nintendo hasn't actually announced the hardware yet. And so that might be why. That might be why we're not getting a Pokemon game this year. Because if they started developing it, which is probably likely, if they started
Because
making
you don't want fans don't want a Pokemon game
Yep.
with the same hardware.
Yep.
You know?
Oh, definitely
Could it
not
just be
after
the
Scarlet. Yeah, after Scarlet and Violet for sure. Like people would probably still buy it, but also if you've been developing it, they don't need to try to port this thing down. It would not be a good. I don't think it would be a good thing for
Yeah.
their PR.
That's
So,
good.
We're in the comment section now. We're in the comment section
What a
now.
crappy
We're
thing.
in the comment
That was really
section now.
Here are the comments. All right, guys. So this is the comment section. In case you didn't listen to the last 2 seconds, and basically what we're going to do here is we're going to just review all the comments left on all the web show episodes for the last month, and we're gonna. If there's a bunch of them, we'll pick out our favorites. There were not a whole bunch, but we're going to read all of them, starting with the very first web show of the month. We have Insane Goblin saying, "I love the cup sounds," and the cup sounds love you, my friend. And then we also, and you got them up there too. Cool. Tor Smith Music says, "Web show." Yeah, isn't that good? Do you want to read one? Here I am just reading them all. I could let you read some if you want.
No, you go ahead.
And St. Gottman says, "Don't worry, Webby. I can find it in my heart to forgive you, but I can agree with you that it really feels like Breath of the Wild. If there is anything I wish for Switch 2, it would be a Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom in higher quality." And what that's in reference to is actually another comment that he had left where he was like, defend this idea that Tears of the Kingdom was not as good as Spider-Man 2. And we did. But I appreciate you for giving me. And you jump in with any of these two.
Well, I just don't. I wouldn't want a higher quality Tears of the Kingdom. I want like a big, huge new DLC or something.
I would
I mean,
be
there's
okay with
still
what
a
he's
lot
saying.
to do.
I want a DLC. I don't think we'll get it, but more to do. That would be great, like another side story.
Yeah.
But also nothing too crazy. Just give me like up-resing. So kind of like what they did with PS5 enhanced versions of the games or Xbox Series X enhanced version of games. It's the same game. It still runs buttery smooth, but like overclock it a little bit and let me play the game in like full 1080 handheld or like a full 60 frames per second. Like get a better frame rate for when I'm shooting. Things like that.
Yeah.
That would help
Oh,
because it's
would-
not really changing the game. It's just making the game run smoother.
Would you have to buy it? Buy? How would they? I guess maybe it will come with an update if you already.
Yeah, I'm
have
sure
the
it'd be
game.
an update. Be just down.
I was gonna say if I
just
gotta buy
download
this
an update.
again,
No, I wouldn't like that. Now, would Nintendo do something like that? Yes, they would.
are we on Loki's?
Yes, I just went to the next one. These are in chronological order if you swipe from left to right. So
Okay.
they're off there. This is the next episode. This was the so this was actually the episode where we covered all the announcements from Xbox. And Loki Rampage TTV says so many cool things to look out for. Yeah, I think so. Xbox. I mean, well, now we already know what most of them were. The big thing were just those 4 games that are going to other platforms. We know what they are now and everything, and they are. We knew kind of because of leaks, but they are Sea of Thieves coming to PlayStation 5, Pentiment coming to PS5, Xbox. Well, it was already on Xbox and Switch. They're also Grounded coming to Switch and PS5, and what was the 4th one? Hi-Fi Rush coming to PS5. And so, pretty good. Pre-Pony says, I've never heard the word invest that many times in such a short time span. They did. Did you watch the the episode or the podcast that Xbox put out? Like, there were 3 of them talking. Phil Spencer was one of them, Matt Booty.
Yeah.
And every couple of seconds, they're like, we invest in gamers. We invest in this. And it was their word. I can't
They
talk.
care so much.
Yeah, they do. When everyone plays, we all win. That's because they invest in the gamers. And then Sir Twiggy said, this is one I actually respond to. Sir Twiggy says, for YouTube, would it be possible to rework the intro so I don't need to skip 40 seconds in each time? I get the podcast vibes, though. And honestly, the answer is it would be possible, but I'm not going to do it. And the reason for that, honestly, is because I'm swamped with work. And for me to be able to do that, I would actually have to render or export out the podcast twice, once in audio form, or once optimized for the audio podcast and once optimized for YouTube. And I feel like 40 seconds of an awesome banger intro song isn't too bad. And so that's the main reason why I'm swamped to the point right now that I just now have a guy that's helping me to try to clip some things to post for shorts.
Yeah.
And I really need more time than that, or I really need more from him, but he's learning. And so he's going to develop his editing skills right now. I need more help. And
I'm
so
trying to
I
think
can't-
what YouTube videos or anything I've seen.
I'm just talking about the web
doesn't
show
have
one.
No, that doesn't have
An intro?
Intro.
My proper videos on Tuesdays don't have like web show like that kind of thing.
But
But they all have a hook.
I
They all have a hook, if you will.
I guess I don't mind skipping. You know,
Or you can just
if I
listen
need
to an
skip.
awesome intro song,
Sing along.
That's right, sing along in the car.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
But thank you so much for listening, and even if you skip it, Twiggy, I appreciate you, man.
Twiggy.
All right, now we're on to the next episode here, which was us together again. This is the game we played, and I believe, this is our Do We Know Sounds episode.
Oh gosh.
This was probably, Loki Rampage TTV says, this was probably my favorite intro song this far. Fantastic episode, fellas. And that was a really, really sweet thing because it's been the same intro for every episode this season. But I'm glad that this time it resonated so strong with you. And then Insane Goblin said, I knew that was Skyward Sword immediately. Good for you. I did not. I don't know how you did that, you Zelda fan freak. We
It was
love
a
you.
very stressful day for me.
I was just like, how do you tell? I mean, they're always a little different, but when you have something like Zelda's Lullaby, that's in all of them.
I
it's like,
know.
what game?
Look,
Zelda.
we didn't have the easy ones.
Nope. She brought out all the stops. And then our last video of the month was actually last week's.
Your standalone.
It was another standalone. We talked about emulation and Yuzu, and here's our comments on that. I'm gonna skip one of them because it has a reply. That'll be the last one that we talk about here. But we've got, let's see, we've got Kenozuki88 says Yuzu could run Tears before its release. It was modders and pirates that made a temporary fix to allow the game to run on Yuzu. The user Discord upright banned any discussion about it. And that is correct. It's Yuzu did allow for that, but that wasn't necessarily what Yuzu set out to do. Yuzu set out to just reverse engineer and allow for either whether it's backing up or playing at higher resolution, overclocking. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, probably the best way to play Scarlet and Violet might have been on Yuzu or another emulator because you could have PC specs and the game was running a lot better because they didn't really optimize it. Game Freak didn't really optimize it for Switch. So yes, but that to me wasn't really Yuzu's problem. I mean, yeah, but not because yes, Yuzu is gone now and all these things, but Nintendo has a leak problem. Like Tears of the Kingdom leaked, Metroid Prime leaked.
Dude,
all
Pokemon stuff leaked.
I mean, all that, but I mean, actual like the game leak. People
Oh,
were
okay,
playing
yeah, yeah.
early. Like you could play Metroid Prime early. You could play Tears of the Kingdom early. What was the other Metroid one that you could play? Maybe it was Prime. No, Prime is the 3D one. You could play that one early. Whatever the last 2D Metroid Dread. You could play Dread early. So Nintendo's just got an issue with keeping their stuff not leaked. So there's that. And St. Godman says, sorry for your lost Topaz.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I did watch that. Or I did see a little bit of that episode. Appreciate you guys for your prayers. It was really on my wife's side of the family, but I was there to be a husband and a father, and really enjoyed that fellowship, the time to spend, and time to really just take on the kids and just keep them happy and let my wife have that time with her family and all that kind of stuff. So it was good. Thank you guys for your prayers, and thank you for bringing that up and praying for me as well.
For sure, man. I'm very glad.
With
you were
that being said, I have a surprise for you.
You have a surprise for me. Oh gosh, I hope it's a good one.
You have to think. Take it.
Oh, I'm taking something out of his hand, audio listeners. There was nothing in it.
This came.
Well, they can't see it. Only our video listeners. So I saw you hold out your empty hands, but I knew this is metaphorical.
Scene. This came from the heart.
Okay.
I've been thinking about Webby, and every time I go to a store, every time I go to a bar, not bar, I'm sorry. Every time I go to a
walk into a bar,
coffee place, or just anywhere I go, I'm like, what can I get Webby Pumpkin? I haven't thought about it yet. It hadn't come to me yet, but know that this is a simple.
it's a placeholder.
That there's something in the works.
You don't have to. But
No, I do.
no.
And it's not for anything that, it's just, it's friend to friend. It's not even like a big, huge reason why. I just want to do it, because
Well, I
think
appreciate it.
think about the pumpkin every time I go somewhere.
Oh, you could never explain that to anyone else. Though, if you go to a coffee shop and they're like, "Topaz, what's
went
up,
to a
man? What you
bar."
thinking about?" I'm just thinking about pumpkins.
Oh, yeah. Could you put a little pumpkin spice in that?
Listen, yeah, that 'tis the season to be Webby is what I always say. Well, thanks, man. And for sure, as we move forward, like anything you guys need, of course, let us know. But yeah,
Probably some cookies.
Yeah, well, those are supposed to be done already too.
Oh, man.
And they are not. I was sick, and then we ended up not funny at all. Poor circumstance happened that we ended up attending a funeral Saturday while you guys had the funeral Sunday. And so I thought about it today. I was like, man, I almost did a little Sam's Club thing where I was like, do you do that friend thing where you're like, here's some freshly bought cookies. I almost did
Oatmeal
that,
raisin. I'm strange. People don't like oatmeal raisin, but I
Yep.
do.
I like chocolate chipless cookies, which is a little bit different.
Oh, yeah, you told
I
me
looked
that.
at but now they can hear it. And it's just a chocolate chip cookie without chocolate chips. It's just the batter is so good. And St. Gottman says, I agree with you that emulation can be a great way for holding the history of games. And that actually had a response on it, which I'm going to share right now. And it said, so that was from Our Agents 5490. This is a response to Insane Goblins. It says, that is a clear fake fluff narrative that pirates use to justify their actions. No one is preserving anything by pirating Metroid a week before release. That's correct, but that is using a one specific to try to justify the entire thing. Earlier in the episode, we already talked about the way, like the best way, and in most cases the only way if you want to experience Virtual Boy games is you're going to be emulating them. If you want to play modern Duck Hunt, remember Duck Hunt, how great that game is? The only way to really play that well is to emulate it right now so that your mouse cursor or something can be your light gun, because I don't know if you guys know this, but even if you have an NES and you plug it into like this monitor or that TV, it won't work. Because the way, if you guys don't know how Duck Hunt works, the way that the light gun worked is whenever you would fire, the entire screen would turn black, except for a little white square wherever the duck was. emitting light right there. And the light gun would look for that light, and if it was pointed in the correct spot and it was registering that light, well, then you successfully hit the duck. Unfortunately, because that CRT's like built from the bottom up in like 2 scans, basically in scan lines. That's not how LCDs work. That's not how OLEDs work. They put everything through whatever conversion that they're doing for analog to digital. They put all color on the screen all at once. What does that mean? Well, it means that the syncing for the light gun to work actually won't line up and it will fail. You cannot do it. So the only way to play that game, even if you have an NES, unless you have a CRT as well, there's only going to be less and less of those every year. Like I have 2 of them that I have because my parents are old and they kept them, but that's not something that you have regularly. So right now, it's the best way to play Duck Hunt, and maybe in 10 years, it's the only way to play Duck Hunt. So while I see what you're saying, Hourglass, or our agents, I have to wholeheartedly disagree with you. And then he responded to just the video as a whole as well. Same person says, the emotional fear-mongering over preservation is such a greasy tactic. In the words of Cat Williams, 2024 is a year of truth, so let's be real with ourselves.
Oh, my gosh.
And I didn't realize when I screenshotted that it was not the full comment. And so I don't know if you're able to easily just pull up that full comment from YouTube real quick on your phone. I was going to do it on mine, but mine's over there. We'll read the rest of that comment. And that's what we're trying to do. I probably everything that I just said, we're going to read your full comment, but probably everything that I just said applies to what you're saying here too. I see your point, but your point only is true in instances of when pirates used an emulator to play games that had not yet released, and only works in what I think is a kind of a bad area to do it anyway, which is what I mean by that is using emulation to emulate current gen hardware. I don't know if there's much of a reason for that in the realm of preservation. I completely agree with you in that regard over Yuzu, but I don't think that argument holds nearly as much weight, if any weight at all, whenever you are talking about things like Citra, like PCSX for PlayStation, when you're looking at other emulators like GMB 64 for the Nintendo 64, because the 64 controllers always go out, and I've only had one 64 and it died. It didn't last. So what am I to do now? Go hopefully find another console that won't benefit Nintendo anyway, because they're not selling those consoles anymore. So yes, and I go on record as saying it's more than a little. It's questionable when you are actively emulating modern, currently accessible hardware. The only real reason I can see that would be prominent would be for nefarious or pirating agendas, but I cannot say that is the case for systems that are no longer supported. So, were you able to get the rest of it?
Is it the one from?
It's last week's web show. So yeah, it's this one right here.
Well, I was looking for the comment.
If you just like that, and then do you delete it? Newest. There it is.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, it's long. I'm going to read the rest of it. Preservation. As Cat Williams, 2024 is the year of truth, so let us be real with ourselves. Nothing is getting preserved when you pirate Xenoblade a week before release. This argument and others like that are so clearly used to sugarcoat the reality of the situation, which is, of course, mass piracy on a colossal scale. The lawsuit is a massive white pill and shows that can still happen for gaming. The best part is the new updated precedent that will allow other developers to protect their software from such extreme subversion. Props to the ninjas for saving gaming. I hear what you're saying, and like I said, for me, just to repeat it, but briefly, and any thoughts that you have, go ahead, T, you can throw in. But yes, I see what you're saying for modern gen, but I really think that argument falls completely apart for anything that is not modern gen, like most especially for systems that are no longer supported. I just don't think that it holds up. It can't, because it's not hurting them financially. There's not hurting a bottom line. And like the Virtual Boy is a great example, because there were a few of those, and the ones that exist are almost broken. So there will come a time where Virtual Boy gaming, the way that it was meant to be experienced in 3D, will not be possible except through emulation. That's the only way that you'll be able to experience that. and it already exists for certain abandonware, or especially for. Did you know that there's PC emulation? There are Windows DOS emulation, because I don't know if you guys know this, but most of our computers don't run Windows 98 anymore. And so if you want to play those games, you either have to play a version that Steam does a good job of keeping, playable, keeping up to date, or you have to run an older Windows emulator on your current Windows software, just because Windows 10 and Windows 11 can't play those. Even though you have a Windows PC, even though Windows is still around, you still can't play them. You have to have an emulator. So that's my thought on that. No ill will towards you, my guy. I hope that you watch this one as well. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think, because I think that we're on the same page for the most part. Like I see your point when it comes to modern gen. I'm not in support of piracy, especially games that haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
I don't know that the ninjas necessarily are saving gaming. If anything, I think that they don't care about saving gaming. They care about making Nintendo the most money that Nintendo can make. That's all that they care about. They won't go to bat for indie developers on the Switch. So you better believe they don't care if indie games are being developed. They all are being pirated. They only care if Nintendo games are being pirated. So just like any other corporation, the bottom line is they need to make money, and that's what they're trying to do. So anyway, you have any additional thoughts on that?
Nah.
Cool. Well, that was a little bit heavier end, but I don't mean it heavily. So thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, subscribing, watching all the way to the end of the web show. I know that these videos are long. I actually have an experiment that I'm going to be doing probably this month. I'm going to let you guys know about it right now. And I'll talk in more detail about it in next week's episode. But I put everything right now on the Webby Pumpkin YouTube channel. And these longer episodes at the same time as my proper videos, I think are actually potentially working against me algorithmically. What I mean by that is that if I post a 15-minute video on Tuesday and you watch all 15 minutes, YouTube says they watched 100% of my video. But then we post the web show on Thursday and you watch 15 minutes, but it's an hour long, you gave the same amount of time that you had, maybe your lunch break, but YouTube says, oh, they watched 33% of the video. This video sucks. We're going to stop promoting the channel. And so all that to say, I'm going to do a little bit of experiment, and I'm going to skip one proper video this month, and I'm going to skip one web show episode this month. I might still record something for audio, but I'm going to skip one web show episode this month and look at the numbers, and I'll report back to you guys in April on how that looks, and that will help us I hope you guys don't mind, but hopefully that will help us curate what the best way to make sure that you guys can see all the content and enjoy it is. It might be a new YouTube channel called The Web Show, just for the podcast. It might be that. So thank you guys so much for putting up with us, and we will catch you in the next one. Web's out.
Web's out.
I want to tell you a story about a time when you watched Webby, like on the web show. Your favorite podcast near and far here on the web show. You know you listen in your car. You love the web show. You love the web show with Webby.